Alright, YouTube. Repo Man 64. Let me see who's in here. It did it again. No audio. New app, everything. It did it again. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me see here. I have no idea if I'm live or not, so I'm trying to see if it comes up. And we're live. All right. Turn that volume down. All right. So as you know, I uploaded a video and no audio again. It's a new app. I have no idea. Watchwood of the Dragon. Hey, how you doing? Do we have audio and visual now? You're live, but we can't see you. Right, I don't see me up there at all. Oh, that's because hopefully the camera comes up in a second. I think I know what's going on. Hold on. There we go. No, that's not it. I'm trying to fix it. Hold on 1 second. I don't know where to go. Got that. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works, if this fixed it or not. Sorry about the technical issues. There we go. Now we have the camera. Alright, yay. I'll wait a minute for everybody to get in here, and then I'll play the video. Of course, what is on my side is recorded, but what goes up to you, it's got to be YouTube, because they changed apps and everything, and it's still messing around, so I don't know what's going on. No comment section, I don't know what that means. Alright. Roaster, how you doing? Kaysan, Raymond Gordon, John Righty, Mel's, how's everybody doing? Preacher Ken Beck. Hi Tony, how you doing? Todd Ramsey. I wonder what this does. Is that picture in a picture in a picture? I put a magnet on it. I just throw my phone on there in a magnet. I do that in the video. I do say Repo Man 64 in the video. It says no comments area below, but everybody's making comments, including the person that said no comments area below. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, things are getting very interesting right now. Very, very interesting. this trigger is about to be pulled. We're about to really see some stuff happen here pretty soon. We've been waiting for this, right? For years. We've been waiting and saying, "Oh, this is going to kick off. It's going to," and then it didn't, and then it didn't. But now we're in it, and we're like, it's actually happening. Hey, brother Victor, how are you? I may fit on your TV now. I'm sorry about that. Probably not, because I'm about to play a video that I recorded on my phone. I don't know how to record a video on the computer and then upload it. I have no idea how to do that yet. I guess that's something else I'll have to come out here and mess around with to try to get it to work. Jerry Natural Bambi, how you doing? Looking Up is here. Hey! Richie Rich. God is good. You're right. All right, I'm gonna play it now. We're up to 242. I'm gonna play the what I had recorded earlier, and then I'll come back here afterwards and talk about it. I go into a little bit of a rant about people not supporting Israel, but that's about it. So the person, Brett, God's Land Down Under. I knew it was down under something. I could not, in the video, you're going to see me just draw a complete blank. It's God's Land Down Under. I'll have to fix that. All right, I'm going to play it. I'm going to be live on the chat, and then Coop692, how you doing? And then we'll discuss the video afterwards. Let's go. Where do I go? Right here. All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. I haven't shaved, I haven't done anything except try to figure out when we'll get leaving. If you had ever planned on doing something and you said to yourself, I'll wait until we get closer, we're there. This rapture is about to occur. From what I can tell in talking with Spinebreaker, Kevin, the trigger, and I'm going to show this to you in the Word of God, the trigger is going to be one of two events that is going to cause the rapture. And we were talking, and he showed me something. I'm like, I never dawned on me that God triggers these events by mankind. For example, he was going to flood the earth, but he told Noah to build a boat. But if Noah hadn't built the boat, we wouldn't be standing here right now. Noah did what he was supposed to. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So Noah built a boat. If they didn't march around Jericho exactly like God said, Jericho, the walls of Jericho wouldn't have come down. God, in his infinite wisdom, has decided to involve us in his process, in what he's doing. I don't know why. I believe we're going to find out when we get to heaven why he has invited us into his process, into his decisions. He allows us to be the initiator. And I think the next initiator is going to be either this war in Israel, which is huge. That's huge. We watched forever and ever and said, they fight, they piddle back and forth. They've been doing it for decades, fighting back and forth. And then all of a sudden, and I want to remind you, I got a comment, and I don't know if you were joking. If you were, it wasn't funny. Not funny at all. If you weren't, welcome to the tribulation, my friend. This commenter said the reason that the Jews are going through this is because they killed Jesus. Are you kidding me right now? That's not even funny, like I said, if you were joking. And if you weren't joking, you're going in the tribulation. Listen, we are to support Israel 110%. There are no buts when we're supporting Israel. We are to, there are no buts. Yeah, but these aren't the people. I've heard that argument. I'm sorry, God didn't make a mistake in 1948. These are the people. But Netanyahu, or because of things they're doing, every excuse in the book, oh, I love the Jews, I pray for the Jews, except or but for this. No, there are no buts. These people came into their country, murdered 1,600 people, and took hundreds of prisoners. Whatever Israel does to, and they won't give back the hostages, they won't give them back. Who knows if they're still alive? But I say, go for it, Israel. I back you 110%, and there are no buts involved in that conversation. Go get them. You have had to suffer for decades with these people. There's a guy somewhere over there in the Middle East. He wakes up in the morning, he eats his toast and whatever he eats for breakfast, looks at his watch, kisses his wife goodbye, and, got to go to work. And his job is to light the fuse on some ordinances that are to fly into Israel. And then he comes home. But how was work today, honey? Sent over 3 bombs today. It was pretty good. Israel has never fought back. They have taken it and taken it and taken it. And I personally caution Israel, anytime the word solution is used in any resolution that you're involved with, run for the hills. Do not deal with anything that has the word solution in it. The final resolution, the final solution. You need to run from anything that has the word solution in it. So again, it's not funny. And if you think that's why God is doing this, you think God is doing this to Israel, boy, are you backwards. Boy, do you have it mixed up. And that's my rant. And let me get into the pictures. I do have a date that I'm looking at. Now, again, based on what we're seeing, I'm watching Chris over at Rapture Watchers. Something, I think I have a photocopy of his, or a screenshot. Global Rapture Watchers, got it. And of course, Watchwoman 65. They bring the best, latest news of what's going on. And of course, they are Christian. They firmly believe in Jesus. And those are the people I really want to get my news from, because I don't have to hear the extra commentary on, maybe Israel could prounce them. We know they could stomp them. We know, but no, Israel, they came into your country, killed 1,600 people. You need to do whatever it takes for that never to happen again. And we know, as Christians, what's coming. So does that trigger the rapture or the red heifer that I thought they would have sacrificed on March 30th? Because to me, that's when Passover is, when I count it from the equilux. It's a day that never changes, just like God. It never ever changes. It's always been there. It always happens on March 16th. So, but it would appear that God is going to use their abominable day and to bring the Jews to jealousy. What's his ultimate goal? What is God's ultimate goal? Is it to beat up a bunch of people and throw them into hell? No, it's not. God's ultimate goal is that you will drop to your knees and recognize who he is. He came here in the person of Jesus Christ. He died on a cross. He created everything. You breathe his name every time you breathe. He gets the least amount of recognition for everything he's done for all of us to be here. And the tribulation will be a time for the sleepy church to finally wake up and recognize that they did nothing for their salvation. God did it all. and they will accept that. They will have a little bit of work to do. We don't. We already know it. We're done. We're going to heaven. That's it. Again, clarify. If you've accepted Christ and his works alone and none of yours, you are going to heaven. You are a child of God. You are saved. If you think that you're better than someone else because of some things you've done, I'm sorry, but that is not salvation. You are replicating, imitating the rich man that came to Jesus and said, I've done all these things. I'm fantastic. And Jesus basically told him, you don't need me. But he did. He really did. So I'm going to go through the pictures. My rant on Israel. Let's support Israel. Let's pray for Israel. Let's allow, if that can even be said, allow this process to continue as it is already written in the Bible. And whether you like it or not, this is the path it's going to take. That's the Bible, and that's what we stand behind. You stand with Israel, you stand with God. You stand against Israel, I'm saved, but I did cross the road with this old lady. No buts. There are no buts involved. It is straight. I support Israel. That's it. That's all. So let me get into the pictures real quick. All right. Let me show you something here. Now, on April the 22nd, that's IR 5, April 20th is AR 5. This is the day that Jesus began his walk for 40 days with the apostles, and he ascended. I believe this is the one date that I'm having a problem with. I've worked on it with Equal Symphony. She agrees that she believes this is the correct date as of last year. But you'll notice that all paths end at Ascension Day. They all do. The 30-day increments that happen, second Passover, 30 days later, Ascension Day. You have Jesus on the cross. 3 days later, he rises. He goes to heaven. He performs a wave sheaf offering. And he comes back to Thomas in the upper room. Then a whole week goes by, and he appears on the shore with bread and fish, cooked fish. And then that 3 days, I can't quite place it, I can't quite find it, but that 3 days right there, it does exist. And so on IR 2, April 17th, would be the day that, what's the date now? April 16th. So tomorrow on my timeline anyway. And again, it would appear from what, if they sacrifice this red heifer on the 20th, and I'm going to show you why the 22nd cannot be Rosh Hashanah, cannot be the head of the year. It's impossible. The new moon was not spotted until the night of the 10th. They're saying perhaps they spotted on the night of the 9th, but I looked up the moon, how much percentage it was, and it was around 2%. They usually don't call the moon until it's around 5%. But to me, what they're trying to do is to make the head of the year line up with the eclipse that happened. But let's just say that the eclipse is the head of the year. April 22nd will be the day that they view as Passover. The truth is, it would be more like April 24th. The day of Passover. So on April 17th on the timeline, Jesus shows up on the shore. We know that it's been 7 days because there's a 7 days after the days of unleavened bread. There's a 7-day period of no bread. You can't have bread. They showed up on the shore. Jesus shows up on the shore. This is where Jesus tells them to cast over, and on the other side of the boat, they drug in 153 fish. It says he showed up on the shore there with bread. That could have only happened on a Sunday, which would have been April 17th. And then 3 days later, he began his 40 days walking with them and then ascended. That's that line. The next line is we have 50 days after Jesus sees Thomas in the upper room. And that ends on Shavuot as well. Shavuot is not Pentecost. They are not the same thing. I learned I learned that from Dr. Barry, and sure enough, when I do the math, he is actually accurate. Now, from when Jesus rises, you go 57 days. Why 57? Remember the count. It is all of these dates that we're looking at are Sundays. You begin your count on the Sabbath after. That's 7 days away. And then you count 49, and then you go to the following day. You're going to wind up again on a Sunday. So here we are on, the day Jesus rises, and we count 57 days. That's a simple count. From when Jesus rises, 57 days. You also count, what in Leviticus, it teaches us to count after the wave sheaf offering, 50 and 7 days. So all of these paths lead to Shavuot, and then 7 days later being Pentecost. All right, let me get off of that. I think that maybe God is going to bring the Jews to jealousy by rapturing us on a day that they think is a Passover. Again, it can't be Passover. It's not 14 days from the head of the year. They couldn't have spotted the first sliver of the moon on the 8th at night, on the 8th at night, which, by the way, if they had, first of all, they couldn't, it was the eclipse, but had they must have counted from the 9th, not the 8th. You have to count from the following day. When did they spot it finally? They say they spotted it on the 9th, so then the 10th would have been their Rosh Hashanah. 14 days later would be the 24th. But it appears as though, since they're going to, there's a lot of indicators stating that they're going to sacrifice this red heifer on the 22nd. It appears as though God is going to do that to bring them to jealousy. Let me see where I go next. This guy right here, he has a huge YouTube, but has any of you ever heard him? He was, I forget what he said, 8 months ago, a year ago, he was an atheist. He was a proud atheist. He didn't believe in any of this stuff, and you should hear his YouTube. If you're not subscribed to Jaden Forrest, please do so. He has a bunch of incredible videos, and he's so young. First of all, to make the decision to be an atheist, and then to find Jesus, and now he's just on fire for Jesus. And you can sense that if you're young and you don't listen to this old guy, this 60-year-old guy talking about, this young guy right here does a fantastic job. This is C.J. Lovick's timeline. C.J. Lovick's timeline. Now, the only issue I have with it, and I love C.J. Lovick, he's done a lot of work on his timeline, and I am not casting any disparages towards his timeline whatsoever, but I want you to take a peek at this. He's calling 4005 BC creation. Then he's stating correctly that Adam was 30, he was actually 33 and a half years old when he sinned. Adam was removed from the garden after he sinned 47 days. Adam sinned 47 days after he was in the garden for 7 years. He was not in the garden for 34 years. That would indicate that he was created as an embryo and grew up in the garden, and 34 years later, 33 and a half years later, Adam sinned. No, Adam was created at the age of 26 years old during the creation, just like the creation says. On September, what would that be? 11th? It's the September the 6th, the 16th, I'm guessing. 7th, September 16th, 7th. So he was in there for a full 7 years. I've said this before, I want to reiterate it. The Jubilees and the Shemitah cycles all count from September. They were not moved when he moved the head of the year back. They were not moved. So the Shemitah cycles and the Jubilees all count from September. Now, Adam was in the garden a full 7 years. He was 26 years old when God created him. God created him a full-grown man. 26, 7 years later, and 47 days, Adam sinned. And then 47 days after Adam sinned, On the fourth month and first day, God removed him from the garden. I've shown that many times. So the only issue I have here is if he was in there for the 7 years, you would simply, from the time he sinned, and he's showing a year difference here as far as a sabbatical cycle. Adam actually, the first sabbatical cycle began when Adam was created, and 7 years later, the second sabbatical. There's two jubilees running in tandem. The first jubilee cycle began at creation. The second one began when Adam sinned and was removed from the garden. So there are two, and the reason that was allowed to happen that way was because of the 7-year tribulation. So 7 years. He was 33 and a half. 7 years earlier, he was 26 and a half years old when he was created, and then he was removed from the garden. I think he's right on the sabbatical count of 3970. And I can see his math down here where he proves the 7056. So again, my timeline doesn't deal with long periods of time. It deals with all of the dates that I found in the Bible, and I put them simply onto a timeline and did the math back and forth here and there, all over everything I found. I put it in there, and lo and behold, it all fit. Every bit of it fit. So I believe he's accurate here at the end as far as 3031 being the end. So let me keep going here. And the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the second time, saying, now remember, Jonah was told, go warn Nineveh. He piddled around for 84 hours. He got on the boat. They dipped him in the water 3 different times. Each time they dipped him, the seas calmed. They recognized, hey, this guy's got to go into the water or we're all going to die. And Jonah just said, yeah, throw me in. And a big fish swallowed him, a whale perhaps, swallowed him. And he was in the belly of that whale for 3 days. If you count the time before and the time after, he was in the belly of the whale, representing Jesus in the grave for 84 hours. This plays into, and I've heard a lot of good discussions, and I'm looking forward to any videos that come out explaining that. Now, perhaps Patrick would work on that. But you're looking at an 84-hour period before he begins to warn, and you're looking at an 84-hour period after he begins to warn, and then 40 days to Nineveh that they would be destroyed. And God saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and God repented. I've heard several people saying God doesn't change. The word repented means change. Did God change his character or his personality or his judgment or his righteousness or his grace that he has? No, he didn't. But he changed his mind here, just like when he moved Rosh Hashanah from the middle of the year up to what we would call the beginning of the year. And God saw their works, and they turned from their evil way, and God repented of the evil that he said that he would do unto them, and he did not. He changed his mind. So that doesn't mean that God changed in any kind of way. All right, the Bible formula, I talked about this last time. The Bible formula has put up an entire series of Chuck Missler teachings. And if you have a brain for numbers, I have a brain for the calendar and the numbers in between dates and how they line up beautifully. I don't have long distance number workings in my head, much like actually Patrick over at End Time Watchman does. He does a lot of numbers. He's in Discord. He has his own room, and he's awesome in there because people ask him tons of questions, and he's right there doing his math with them. And I spend a lot of time in his room reading what's going on, and it's fantastic. It's not my strong point, so I'm so glad that he's in there. But if you were ever going to do something and you thought, let me wait until there's a clear indication of the rapture. I am telling you now, do it now. If you were going to accept the Lord, or tell your mother, father, children, cousins, aunts, uncles, best friends, if you were shy about something that you were going to do that would get somebody to just say a simple prayer and understand that there's only one way to heaven, and that's through Jesus. It's not by works, lest any man shall boast. And all you have to do is say, yes, Jesus created everything, and I'm not making it without him. And that's it. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Satan has turned it into something really difficult. He's turned it into religion. He's turned it into people who have written entire books on how to be saved, and it's as simple as a child just asking their father to ask for something. It's that simple. It's really that simple. All right, let's see. This person, I scratched out their last name because I didn't know if they cared. I have something that came to me, Mike. This person's name is Carl. The number of days between the solar eclipse in 2017, which was 821, I'm guessing, and the Revelation 12 sign, 923, is 33 and a half days. You're going to find this 33 and a half always 3 and a half, 33 and a half, 84 hours. Jesus was 33 and a half. Adam was 33 and a half. You're going to find all these 33s throughout the Bible, and everything will fall into place and make sense. I got this from you, and it is correct. I guess they've done some research on me stating how old Jesus was. He was exactly 33 years old and 182 days from his birth on September the 30th to the cross, which is March the 30th, exactly to the day. You can't make that kind of stuff up. And it doesn't, you're just like your birthday doesn't jump around every year depending on a sliver of a moon, neither does he. As a matter of fact, the moon was only used 250 years, but they hung on to it to this very day. They're still hanging on to it, which is why I believe God is going to use their feast day, not his. That's not his feast day. They're going to use theirs, which will be April the 22nd. Now, 33 and a half days from the eclipse that just took place on April the 8th is May the 11th. May the 11th is 3 and a half days, or 84 hours, from May 14th, which is Israel's next birthday. And it says, I agree that we should be gone before Israel's next birthday. Is May 11th, 2024, the date we're waiting for? And it's rhetorical, so I don't have to answer that. I don't know. I think, like I said before, what initiates this thing, God allowing us for some reason to take part in his master plan, just like Noah building the ark. If Noah didn't build that ark, would the flood have still happened? Interesting, huh? What a dichotomy that we would be working on to understand that. What if Joshua decided not to march around Jericho? What if I'm only marching around 3 days, I'm not marching around 7? Would God have brought down those walls? Again, if they sacrifice this red heifer, or if they decide to attempt to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, God is going to get involved. And will one of those two events be the trigger? And both of them, we're staring straight down the barrel of a 12-gauge shotgun. We're looking at both of those things that are about to happen. They are about to happen right now on the 22nd, which is just 6 days from now. They're discussing sacrificing this red heifer. And Israel is putting together, again, Israel's saying, "Oh, we're going to strike back." It's that simple. No, can't you? They didn't really hit you. Can't you just No, we're not overlooking the fact that they didn't hit them. We're not going to overlook the fact that they could have hit them, and we're not going to overlook the fact that you took 1,600 people and killed them, and then you did God knows what to those hostages that you took. No, we're not going to overlook any of that. Israel, go get them. That's what I say. Go get them.
Oh, but there's innocent people. Yeah, those 1,600 people were innocent. You should have thought about that before you decided to do that atrocious thing that you did, standing behind Israel, 110%. All right, so I asked Google, what's the first day of Nisan on the Hebrew calendar? It's Monday the 8th. And no, it's not. You did not spot the sliver of the moon during the eclipse. Not possible. Physically impossible. Didn't happen. Guess what? Yay! Happy new moon and Rosh Hashanah. The new moon was sighted in Israel this evening on Tuesday, April the 9th. Is that true? Because that moon was barely like 2%. Maybe they did. I don't know. Let's say they did. They spotted it at night on the 9th, making the 10th Rosh Hashanah. That would be the first day at nightfall on the 9th, becoming the 10th. You add 14 days of that, and it's the 24th. I'm showing you how God is going to go ahead and use their abominable day for his purpose. I believe that's why this is happening. I showed you the math. It has to work. It doesn't work. Therefore, the first day of the first month, which means Rosh Hashanah, will be observed after sunset on Tuesday, April the 9th, making April the 10th Rosh Hashanah. Adding 14 days to that for Passover would be the 24th. So that's happening. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know. Every year they go by that moon, but this time they're cheating the system by 2 days. I don't know where that's coming from. Jesus said unto her, now this is John 20. I took a lot of screenshots and I have to remember why I did. Jesus said unto her, Mary, what's her name? She turned her, Jesus said unto her, Mary, she turned herself and saith unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Jesus said unto her, touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father, and to my God and to your God. This is the moment he rises. It's very early in the morning. I think he rose at 3 a.m. I think it's about 4 or 5 in the morning when Mary's there. And Jesus is going to hang around throughout the day, and then he's going to disappear. He has to go to heaven to perform the waste sheaf offering on our behalf. He will return to Thomas on the self-same day, 1 week later, on a Sunday, to Thomas in the upper room. Behold, my hands and my feet. Here he is appearing to Thomas in the upper room. Behold, my hands and my feet. It is I myself. It's old English. Handle me. You see the word handle me? You will only find that in the Gospel of Luke and John. You will not see that in Matthew or Mark. Jesus can only touch the bride, cannot touch the sleepy church or the Jew. They are not saved yet. But Luke is the bride, and John is the 144,000. They are up in heaven. They will be changed up there and sent down here. We will be changed down here and sent up there. They will warn for a period of time not to take the mark, and we will be hidden away in our rooms while the indignation passes. Behold, my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit hath not flesh and bones, as ye see me have. So he has a body. They can see the holes in his hands and his feet. And he says, handle me. As you can see, this appears in Luke. That which was from the beginning, this is John, that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled the word of life. Handled, found in John. I looked all over the place in Matthew and Mark. They never handle him. John, here again. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, it's Sunday, when the doors were shut, where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews. They're still afraid. He has not been walking with them for this week. He's been in heaven. He performs the wave sheep offering on Sunday morning. He comes, it says, what time? The same day at evening. He appears to them when? At 3:00 in the afternoon. He's in heaven for 7 days. He leaves in the evening. On the day he rises, disappears. 7 days later, on the self same day on Sunday, he appears to them in the upper room. He's able to go through a locked door, but he has a body. He has a physical body. So he is the master of material, of solid objects, and able to pass through them, as we will be able to do as well when we are changed. The doors were shut where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews. Came Jesus, stood in the midst. That word midst is only used when speaking with the 144,000 or Luke. You can see that temple, the curtain. What is that called? The curtain, the thing separating the Holy of Holies. You'll see in Luke that it was in the midst. You will see in Matthew and Mark that it was torn from top to bottom. We are the midst. And saith unto them, Peace be unto you. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. So again, you will only see Jesus being touched during that 7 day. Again, like I said, he rose at 3:00 in the morning. He hung out till the afternoon. He ascended. Nobody saw it. He ascended. 7 days later, he reappears to Thomas in the upper room. Now they can touch him because his wedding is over. His bride is with him. We are already in heaven when he returns to this point right here. Jesus appears to Thomas, but Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not, which means twin, by the way, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, Except, now who is he portraying? Who is Thomas portraying right now? He is portraying a tribulation saint. Doesn't mean he's a tribulation saint. I believe all the apostles are in heaven, but in this verbiage, as we read this, he is portraying a tribulation saint. But he saith unto them, Except I shall see in his hands the prints of the nails, and put my fingers into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, he rose on a Sunday. It is 8 days later, again on a Sunday. And after 8 days again, his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Jesus, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst. There's that word midst again, and said, Peace be unto you. Then saith he to Thomas, Reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. All right. I just wanted to show you that, in fact, in 2024, they have called April 22nd as Passover. It simply couldn't be. It has to be the 24th, but that's okay. I believe God is going to use their abominable day, their incorrect day. And I want you to notice down here in 2029, March 30th, the day that Passover actually does occur, falls on the same day, March 30th. They are going to recognize Passover as the same day as the Enoch timeline will recognize it on March 30th, which I found to be pretty incredible myself. And then what would April 7th represent? It would represent, of course, the days, the name of the days of the week are incorrect because March 30th has to be a Wednesday. But April the 8th would be again, or April the 7th, sorry, would be again a Sunday. And March 30th would be a Sunday. No, it would be April I'm saying this all wrong. I'm saying this all wrong. March 30th is the Passover day, 3 days later, he would rose on April the 3rd. And then 7 days later, and again, Sunday, it would be actually April the 10th or 11th. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it. This person here, I don't know why I took this screenshot. Another watchman thinking out loud, TOL. I'm guessing I took the screenshot because of something that they did that was absolutely incredible. They've made a video that I liked, and I don't recall. I watched so many trying to get a piece of the puzzle from all of the watchers, and evidently he had a piece of the puzzle. And I just don't recall because, again, I watched so many of these. So if you would go subscribe to another Watchman TOL, that would be awesome. Some of this information, I feel like when I say go subscribe to this person, it's something that I feel is going to help after we're gone. The tribulation saints, that person that thought it was funny to say that God is mad at the Jews and that's why he's allowing them to these things. He's mad at the Jews because they killed Jesus, and now 2,000 years later, that's why he's punishing the Jews. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I couldn't even believe that somebody thought that was something to say in a comment. I hope you were joking. It still wasn't funny. And there shall be signs. Now, this is in Luke. This is the bride. This is speaking to us. We're all saying, oh, we have to see this. No, this is what we have to see. I'm going to show you what they will see, but this is what we will see. We don't see any verbiage in here, no words in here referring to the Antichrist, because he doesn't come on the scene until after we leave. If the Antichrist is in fact the one that's going to sacrifice this red heifer, like that comment I saw from what do they call him, Pharisee, a religious leader of Israel from 1,000 years ago, said, we'll know who the Messiah is because he will be the one to sacrifice the red heifer. And that blew my mind. That was 900 years ago this person said that. Now, we cannot be here if that in fact is the case. If the Jews are saying that the Messiah will be the one to sacrifice this red heifer, we know we can't be here for it. We will not know who the Antichrist is. Anybody trying to figure out who the Antichrist is wasting their time. If you're a bride, if you are a tribulation saint, go for it. Try to figure it out because you're going to need to know that information. 5 seconds after we leave, you're going to need to know who the Antichrist is. He is going to reveal himself, in my opinion, because Adam was 33, Jesus was 33 at the cross, Adam was 33 when he was removed from the garden. In my opinion, the Antichrist will be 33. They're looking at people that are like ancient, 70 years old, 50. I'm like, why? He has to be. Satan's the great imitator, the great copier. It has to be somebody that's 33 years old. Or they have to be 30 years old and will become 33 by the time he goes into the temple to proclaim himself to be God. So he would have to be what? He would have to be 30 and a half at the time. His birthday will be 6 months away. I'm giving you information that you're going to need during that time. I don't need it. I don't care. But to me, that's the only accurate thing that it could be. And this is written to us, the bride, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. We've seen all of that already. We saw an eclipse that crossed America. I know there have been others, but remember, all the signs will culminate. They will all come together. They will all show up at the same time, not over the course of 10 years, but over the course of weeks, when this rapture that we've been so looking forward to is about to happen. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. That's already happened. And upon the earth, distress of nations. Oh, with perplexity. Oh, that's going on right now. You can't miss that. This is the one sign that we might be waiting for. Look at the wording here. And the seas and the waves roaring. Men's hearts failing them for fear. Now, hold on a second. Their hearts are going to fail them for fear because they've seen the rapture. Are we going right in between the point of perplexity and the sea and the waves roaring? I don't know. It kind of makes sense. Let me keep reading. Men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after these things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, begin. Does it say that we have to see all of those things first, or the beginning of those things, like the sun, moon, and stars, which we've seen, and the earth, the stress of nations, which we are seeing right now with perplexity? Are we going at that point just before the sea and the waves roaring? If there was a worldwide earthquake that happened, or a EMP that took place because of all of the bride that's being risen up, and the whole earth shakes, wouldn't the sea and the waves roar? And wouldn't the men's hearts fail them for fear, for looking after these things, because they've just witnessed a rapture that they didn't believe was going to happen? They thought it was a joke, that it was funny. And here we are. Now it's your turn to figure out what you need to do. Again, in Mark, that's the return of the Son of Man, the return of the Son of Man. Nothing in here is written to them what we've just seen. But everything we've just seen is written to them, because they're going to see that. Of course, they're here right now with us. They're going to see that and more. But in those days, after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. We are not looking for this event. We are not looking for the sun to be darkened and the moon not give her light. This is somebody else's event. This is in Mark. This is the Sleepy Church's event. This is what they're looking for. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. These things they're going to see. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather. There's that word gather again. He will not rapture the tribulation saints. He will gather them. You see that word gather in 2 Thessalonians. Everybody tries to attribute that verse to a rapture verse. It is not a rapture verse. It is a gathering. God will gather them. The rapture is a quick snatching out of the way. We can call it a harvest. We can call all three of these a harvest, but they are slightly different. They are going to heaven. They're going to appear in heaven. We are going to be there with John, and we're going to ask John, hey, who are these people? He's like, I don't know. You know. Oh, these are those that have washed their robes white, they have palm branches, and now they are a great multitude that no man can count. We are the 24 elders. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather. This is strike 2. You have strike 1. You missed the rapture. Strike 2. You missed this gathering. Strike 3. The very end. The Jews will look up and recognize, possibly some of the tribulation people, if they make it to the end of that, will look up and realize that Jesus Christ, in fact, is God Almighty and came here and died on a cross and rose and saved his people from their sins. And that's it. And he handed you a cup and said, here's a cup. You want some? Nope. Okay. I offered. You said no. That was it. The cup was full of salvation, but they didn't want that cup. They ignored that cup. They thought it was a joke. This is not a joke. This is a very serious matter. And your soul that will live for eternity is in the balance right now. This is to the Jew. Matthew's written predominantly, not all of it, but predominantly to the Jew. Wherefore they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert. Talking about the Antichrist. Go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers. Believe it not. God is warning the Jews here, do not follow the Antichrist. Do not take that mark. There's going to be two witnesses here just pestering the Antichrist, and 144,000 virgin Jewish males that will be walking around telling everybody, there'll be angels flying around saying, do not receive this mark. That's how important it is that you do not receive this mark. You don't receive it, you will get to heaven. You'll have work to do. That's your work. Don't receive it. All right. Jonah. So they took up Jonah and cast it. I don't know why I've gone back to, I guess I have the pictures out of order. We've already done that. All right. I looked in the Bible for anything, or Googled it, for anything that was 5 months long. Here's the thing. From the date of from the date that they should be saying is Passover, which is the 25th, to the Day of Atonement, it's 5 months. I noticed that, and something stirred in me about that. God said, I'm going to move the head of the year back 6 months, but they've moved something forward 1 month. And on the 25th is when they should be observing Passover, but they're doing it on the 22nd. 3.5 days later, 84 hours later, they will observe, they will not observe Passover, but it is in line with Jesus going to the cross on the 22nd, and 3.5 days later on the 25th. If you count from there, excuse me, and you go 5 months, you land on the Day of Atonement. I simply asked the guys in my chat room and in Discord, when do you say that tribulation begins and ends? And they said, oh, atonement. I didn't know that everybody knew that. That's when tribulation begins and ends. It ends on atonement. And it just so happens that 84 hours after what they're calling Passover is the 25th, and you count 5 months. Now, look in here. After these days, Elizabeth, his wife, became pregnant, and she kept herself in seclusion for 5 months. She hid herself for 5 months. It wasn't the 5th month. She hid herself for 5 months. And in the 6th month is when Mary showed up, and John leapt in the womb. She was 6 months pregnant. Everybody makes this, or not everybody, several have made this mistake to state that this is the 6th month of the year. It is not. It's just the 6th month of her pregnancy. And this is Revelation 9:5, and they were not permitted to kill anyone. During that 5-month period, before God turns his attention back to Israel for 7 years, on the Day of Atonement, is it possible that there's a 5-month period, and I've been searching and searching and searching, trying to figure out how long the tribulation saints will be here. And I noticed that Rachel and Leah, God says, give her 7 days. There is this 5-month period relative to those 7 days. I don't know. I just noticed this. That 3.5 days later, 84 hours after what they're calling Passover, Jesus would have risen. And from that date that Jesus would have risen, which is 30 days too late from when he actually did, or 20, it's actually 23 days. I don't know. It's 7 days shy of 30 days. It's 23 days. I don't know. The 23, I think, means something. And then those 7 days left over for the 30 means something. But when you do the math, though, from the 25th, you wind up on the Day of Atonement. These scorpions that are going to torment these people, is that the torment that the sleepy church will be involved with for 5 months? And then they're taken and gathered and brought in, or harvested and brought into heaven. And then the 7-year tribulation begins. Now, I know Dr. Barry has seen 7.5 years of tribulation. Nobody knew what the extra time was for, but 7 years from the Day of Atonement to the Day of Atonement. And in the middle, this is a Jewish thing. This has nothing to do, from what I can see, with the church, with the sleepy church. It has nothing to do with it. Halfway through, 3.5 years from the Day of Atonement, you count. I didn't do the math. I'm curious now. from September the 25th, where would that land us? Wouldn't that land us on the triumphant entry? Yes, it would. It would land us on the it would land us on the triumphant entry, the same day that Satan is going to go into the temple and proclaim himself to be God on the triumphant. He is the great copier. And the Jews at that moment, I think, are going to say, whoa, 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 wait a second. You're not God. And that's when they need to run to Petra at 3.5 year mark. So we have to still deal with the tribulation saints. Wow. What if it's those 5 months? What if that's what happens during those 5 months? They're tormented for those 5 months. Revelation 9:10, they have tails like scorpions and stings, and in their tails is their power to hurt men for 5 months. Have we ever tried to figure out where those 5 months apply? Is this where it might apply? I don't know. And the water prevailed upon the earth 150 days, which, by the way, is 5 months, and 150 days after the flood began, it has to land on the cross. That's why I can't use the moon. However, it appears as though God's going to take their abominable day and bring them to jealousy by rapturing the bride out of here on that day. And the water receded steadily from the earth, and at the end of the 150 days, the water decreased. There are other 5 month passages, but none of them have to do with this period of time. It adds like it says it adds the 5 months to other issues. So I wrote Will on here. I don't remember why. This picture's from a couple days ago. Let me read it and see if I remember. Revelation 11:11. Whoa, that's kind of a big deal. Will has 111 in his name. Whoa. This is Will from Worship and Watch. He is actually working. He found something and he's asked some questions in the group. I believe he's working on a video. Worship and Watch. When he comes out with it, he's been finding some incredible things. He found some incredible things relating to the 3 harvests, and each part, I believe what he's saying is each part of the 3 harvests is 3 parts. So there is and I think he has searched this out, if I recall correctly. He has searched out the bride and the tribulation saint and the Jew, and there will be 3 parts to each. I'm not sure how he's applying that, but I'm looking forward to seeing his video at Worship and Watch. And after 3 days and half, 3.5 days, Jesus was in that tomb. He was 33.5. God does this for some reason. It's 84 hours. 84 hours, I forget. I think let's figure it out here. I showed you this before. 84 hours times 60 minutes. 60 minutes, that's 5,040. 42 hours, which is half that time, times 60 minutes. You recognize that number, 2,520. And then half of that time of 42 is 21 hours. You remember that angels resisted for 21 days, or days actually hours, times 60 minutes, 1,260. I know you recognize that number too. So again, you look big out into the universe and you look small down into the smallest things through a microscope. It's on both sides. God exists on the biggest to the smallest. He's in control of all of it, big to small. So let me go back here.
I guess the video paused for some reason. Not sure what happened. Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure what happened. Just lost audio. All right. It messes up at the end. It has done that before. So, like I was saying at the end, now is the time to, if you were going to warn somebody, now's the time to do it. If you were going to get tracts and hand them out, or get the little thing you put in your computer, memory stick, to warn people, whatever it is that you were going to do, now is the time to do it. I think that we're right at the end, and we're out of time. There's not much time left. So, I don't know what's going on in the chat. It's been pretty decent all night long. I haven't seen very many mods in here, but it's been pretty decent. So, but I've got to go to work early in the morning, and don't know why I keep having this audio problem, but at least this way I get to put it out there and you get to hear it. So thank you for joining, and keep watching, keep looking up, and if you haven't come to the Lord Jesus as your Lord and Savior yet, now is the time. We're literally waiting for this final event to happen. Could it be that they tried to bomb Israel? Could it be that they sacrificed the red heifer? What event is going to trigger this rapture, which God knew from the beginning of the foundations of the world? We're in the season. We see it, we know it, and it's about to happen. So we will chat with you all again later. Thank you very much, and God bless.